皆さん、英語のソータです。
Hey, it's Reilly.
Reilly, it's still cold.
Yeah, it's really cold.
It's so cold. Compared to America, Japan,
Yeah.
in Japan, it's really cold.
Compared to my hometown, it's actually not as cold.
Not as cold.
Yeah, like here, well, in Takamatsu at least, it usually stays at the coldest around 0, maybe -1, -2. But in my hometown, can be much colder, maybe -10 or maybe -15 sometimes.
15?
Yeah, if it's really cold, it's like -15.
I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
Especially in Osaka.
Yeah.
Not minus or -2.
Yeah, really never.
And not never, but
It's rare.
most of the time.
Yeah.
The coldest time would be 0.
Yeah, and in a big difference is that in Takamatsu, it's almost never 0 or lower for the whole day. Like usually the warmest temperature is at least 5 or something.
Yeah,
But
only at night.
yeah, in America, in Maryland, where I'm from, it's often below freezing for the whole day or the whole week. Yeah.
Below freezing.
Yeah.
なるほど。A whole day ってことね。
Yeah.
なるほど。皆さん、1月半ばですけれども、まだまだ寒いですよね。大阪とかはマイナス何度みたいになること、ビローフリージングってね、打ってくれますけれども、僕もそういう言い方するんだと思ったんですけど、フリージング、コール、ビロー、それよりも下、below freezing、つまりマイナスですよね。大阪はなかなかマイナス何度みたいになることってないんですよね。今まで大阪で生きてきてもなかったんですけど、僕はただいま香川にね、いつも通り来ておりますので、香川の畳の上、ライちゃんのお家の畳の上で収録してるんですけど、香川も夜だけマイナスちょっと1、2、3とかになる時もあるらしいですね。でもアメリカと比べてどうですかって聞いたら、やっぱりアメリカほどは寒くないと。で特にアメリカの、メリーランドだったかな、ライちゃんの出身地のところは一日中、a whole day っていうのがね、使えますね。一日中below freezing、マイナス何度っていう、温度になることもあったということなので、まあ、寒さはねやっぱりアメリカよりはマシということですが、風邪等には皆さんお気をつけて手洗いうがいしていただいて、免疫をね上げて1月も乗り切っていただけたらなと思います。では僕たちも元気にやっていきたいなと、香川の畳の上からお届けしたいなと思います。So, Reilly, are you ready?
Yeah.
ソータと
Reillyの台本なし英会話レッスン Episode 203.
Alright, what is the topic for episode 203, Reilly?
It is immigration.
はい、今回のお題は移民です。ちょっとね、今回のお題、扱い方によってはすごくセンシティブなテーマなので、あるいはシリアスなお題なので、まあ、いろいろとこう、気をつけながら、いろんな点に配慮しながらお届けしていきたいなと思うんですけれども、僕自身もやっぱり日本というこの環境で育ってきて、皆さんと同じように、あまり移民っていう、なんだろうな、移民っていうもう言葉自体あんまりね触れ合うこともなかったり、そういう習慣文化とかに触れ合うこともなかったり、あるいは時にやっぱり移民問題と呼ばれるくらいセンシティブな問題になることもあると思うんですけど、その問題に触れ合うこと機会も少ないと思うんですよね。なので今回はやはり移民を多く受け入れているアメリカ出身のライリーから、日頃の中でどんな風にその移民っていうのを感じるのか、あるいはどういうことが問題になりうるのかっていう点をちょっと教えてもらうというスタンスで、ね、僕自身もちょっと知識不足の部分はあると思うので、教えてもらうというスタンスで、収録をお届けできたらなと思っております。So as you know, in Japan, we don't accept immigrants that much like America. So me and everyone too, we don't have a lot of, opportunities to discuss or to think about or to know or to feel immigrants.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's called immigrant issues or immigrant issue in Japan as well.
Right.
So that can be sensitive.
Right,
But,
to call it an issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't know what the issue is or something.
Right.
So this time I want to hear from you because you're from America,
Yeah.
where there is a lot of immigrants. What immigrants are, or
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that kind of thing.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the definition of immigrant, or the definition that I like, is someone who lives in a country where they were not born for at least a year, I would think. And so by that definition, I'm an immigrant, right? I live in Japan, and I was born in America, and I've lived here for over 5 years, so I'm an immigrant. And I think in America, a lot of people think of immigrants as people who come to America to live there forever. Like they don't intend to go back home. And I think that for many people who are immigrants, like myself, that's maybe not true. So I don't know when I will go back home. I think maybe at some point I will return to America, but for a while I will stay in Japan. And I think because of that, I'm an immigrant.
In that case, is that really immigrants? I mean, in your case, you are immigrants? Because, yeah, my impression is also like immigrants are, yeah, as you said, kind of, living forever. Not forever, but living a long period of time.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're also not traveler, but guest.
Yeah.
Or visitor.
Yeah, another term some people might use is like a long-term resident or something like that.
That would be better.
Yeah, I mean, that's more specific, but I think that also is in the category of immigrant.
Yeah, that would be better. Like there is a big category, immigrant.
Yeah.
And then in that category, there are some groups.
Yeah.
Like a long-term
Resident. Yeah, or permanent resident. Or I think in some countries, I'm not sure about Japan and America, some countries even consider the children of immigrants still part of the number of immigrants. Even if they were born in that country, but their parents were not. But I don't like that definition so much. Yeah.
So, some people, for example, your situation, some people call you immigrants and some people don't call you immigrants in the States as well.
Right, yeah. So, and also some people like myself who are English speakers who live in Japan, maybe teaching English or some other kind of job, mostly people with a university education, consider themselves expats, which is short for expatriate. And they use that word instead of immigrant. And I don't like that word because it implies that there's a difference between us English-speaking immigrants and immigrants who don't speak English. Or maybe immigrants who don't have a university education. But really, we're both immigrants. We're all immigrants.
I see.
To me.
So some people sometimes call, people immigrants as in a little, how can I explain this? A little discriminative word.
Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly discrimination.
Not discriminative.
But there is some kind of feeling that if you are an immigrant, then you must be poor or something. And if you are an expat, that other word, then you're not poor. But I don't like that difference because there are immigrants who are rich but come to live in Japan and to make even more money, to make a lot of money. And there are immigrants who come to Japan to make more money than they had in their home country. And there are immigrants who don't come to make money or make a lot of money. Like for me, I think probably if I lived in America, I would have made more money working there than I make in Japan. But I wanted to live in Japan for other reasons, to learn the language, to learn a new culture. And I think I'm still an immigrant for that.
Interesting. Yeah, that's why, I feel it's a bit weird for you to call yourself immigrants.
Yeah.
Because, maybe, we are not discriminating. We, unconsciously feel that immigrants have a kind of negative impression.
Sure.
That's why I thought you were not immigrant.
Yeah.
You were not an immigrant.
Right.
But that depends, how to call.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some people in my position teaching English in Japan don't think of themselves as immigrants.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. But more and more people do now, I think, because they don't want to make this distinction between people with money who come to Japan and people with less money. Yeah. And I agree with that. I think basically anybody who lives in a country where they were not born for a long time is an immigrant.
I see. なるほど。そうそうそう。distinction という言葉をね、言おうとしてたんですけど、区別っていうね。なので、まずですね、どこから行きましょうか。distinction も打ってもらったり、区別って意味ですよね。あとは、long-term resident.
Yes.
Long-term? No, long term. Yeah, long-term resident. あとは、いっぱいなんかありましたよね。expat.
Yeah, expat.
はい。なので、まず始まったのは、immigrants もね、打っておいていただいて、immigration だったりとか、まず、resident もそうですし、イミグラント、この t で終わってるものは全部人を表しますね。移民の人だったり、resident は居住者っていう、residence にするとその場所を表したり、居住地っていう場所を表したりしますけれども、今、出だしのね、この定義の部分、そもそもイミグラント、あるいは日本語で言う移民って誰を指すのかっていう、そこから今ディスカッションが始まってて、まずライリーが、イミグラントの定義としては、違う国で生まれて、他の国に来ている。つまりライリーの場合、アメリカで生まれて日本に来ている。かつ、大体長年住んでる、1年以上ぐらい大体住んでる人っていう定義がまずあると。そういう定義にのっとると、ライリーも自分自身は、移民だと。で、なんかこう、ライリーが移民って聞くと、僕たちからすると、移民ってちょっとなると思うんですよね。で、なんでこの違和感が来てるんだろうって、僕も思ってたんですけど、話を聞いてみたら、人によって、こう例えば外国から来てる、日本に住んでる外国人が自分を呼ぶ時の呼び方っていうのは異なると。ライリーの場合は今自分はイミグラントって言ったけれども、大体のその海外から来てる他の外国人の人はexpat、こう海外から来てる駐在の人みたいな、仕事でこう来てる駐在員みたいな言い方をすると。でも、ライリーがなんでイミグラントって言ったのかっていうと、そこの区別をしたくないっていう、ここでディスティンクションが出てたわけですね。で、なんでディスティンクションをしたくないのかっていうと、一般的にイミグラントのイメージとして、ちょっとこう、学がなかったり、学歴、アカデミックバックグラウンドがなかったりとか、あとは、お金がちょっと、低所得だったりっていう、そういう変なイメージ、ネガティブなイメージを無意識の中に持ってしまっている人が多いと。だからこそ、こう自分自身をイミグラントっていう外国人、日本に住んでる人も少ないでしょうし、人によっても呼び方は変わると。でもライリーはそういう移民の人イコール学がないから、移民の人イコール仕事がないから、お金がないからっていう区別をしたくないので、全部自分もイミグラントだと言っているっていうところから今始まってましたね。他にもその呼び方としてロングタームレジデントってね、ライリちゃんのような立場の人を呼んだりもするみたいですけれども、つまりここから分かるのは、まず移民っていうのは結構ネガティブなイメージをね、誰しも抱きがちだと思うんですよ。移民問題ってやっぱり言うと思うので。でも定義としてはもともと海外に住んでて生まれて海外に来 来てる人っていうことなので、大きくいろんな人を指すと、そのカテゴリーの中にいろんな形の人がいるっていうところからまあ始めていくといいのかなっていうのが多分今の流れですよね。Wow, it took a lot
Yeah.
to explain. A
Yeah.
lot of time, I mean.
It's complicated.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
now I've understood that you call yourself, an immigrant,
Right.
Because you don't want to have the distinction,
Exactly.
but that depends on each person.
Yeah.
So in the States, people often say, accepting immigrants or immigrant issues or something.
Sure.
In that case, some people think that it's a kind of negative thing.
Yeah. In the States, I mean, compared to Japan, the US has a lot more immigrants. I think it's something like 15% of people who live in America were not born in America.
15.
15. So that's like, I think almost 50 million people. And yeah, most of them are from Latin America, Mexico, and Central America, in that area. There are also many from China and India now. And I think especially many Latin American immigrants tend to, how can I say, they tend to not have as much money when they come. So people call it a problem because there are people coming to America to, I don't know, from poorer backgrounds. And yeah, in America, there's a lot of problems with illegal immigration because the border between Mexico and America is really big. People often can walk across or take a boat across or something and come into America without going to any government office or something like that.
The proper application or
Right.
something.
So in that case, they're called illegal immigrants. And that, many people think that is a problem because those people don't pay taxes or something like that. But yeah, I don't know if that's as big a problem in Japan because it's hard to come to Japan without going through an airport or something, going through.
Yeah, and in Japan, we don't accept, immigrants. But if you are, categorized as immigrants, we do. But, kind of refugees.
Oh, yeah, refugees. Yeah.
Or those illegal immigration.
Yeah.
Probably in Japan, it's not happening that much.
Right.
So that's why sometimes it becomes a, controversial issue, whether or not we should accept them.
Right.
Especially refugees, maybe.
Yeah. I think maybe another major difference between America and Japan is that America is already a country with people from a lot of different countries. For example, my great grandmother came from Italy, and on my dad's side, my great grandparents came from Ireland. So, we don't have to look very far back to find immigrants in all of our families. So, and there are many people from other parts of Europe and Latin America, everywhere, basically, Asia. And so we already have many different, ethnic backgrounds, Europe or Asia or Latin America, Africa, etc. And in Japan, really, there's not so many different ethnic backgrounds in Japan, right? It's over, I think, 90% Japanese, right? And so for that reason, when immigrants come to America, we are not so worried about the difference in culture because people in America already have different cultures. But I think in Japan, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Japanese people are concerned about people coming with different cultures because Japan has almost kind of one culture. So if there is a different one, that's very different. Whereas in America, if there's a different culture, someone with a different culture coming in, well, that's okay. That's just another culture. There's already many. Do you think that's fair to say for Japan?
Fair. Oh, I mean, you mean
that feeling that Japan has one culture and that they're a little worried about people coming from different cultures and maybe trying to change the culture of Japan or something like that.
I think that's true, but I'm not really sure if the biggest reason why the Japanese government doesn't accept, like America, immigrants because of the change in terms of the culture.
Yeah.
But I think, maybe some people think that if we accept lots of immigrants, crimes or, not culture stuff, maybe. Other problems might happen.
Right.
And then, that's why sometimes it can be a problem because Japanese people or Japan don't, have that much diversity. And then, we're not used to talking to, people from other countries. That's why, some people still have the old type of way of thinking.
Yeah.
So that can be a problem as well. But I'm not really sure if the reason why the government or Japanese people, don't accept immigrants.
Yeah.
What did I say? I'm not really sure if the reason why they don't accept is because of the cultural change.
Right. Or concerns about crime and things like that. Yeah, that's the same thing in America. Because I don't know if this is even true, but Americans think that countries in Latin America, for example, have more crime than America. And so they think that if people from those countries come to America, then America's crime rates will also go up. And yeah, so that's a concern that some people have about immigration.
I heard that too. And
Yeah.
especially the Trump
Yeah.
president,
Yeah.
used to say that, we should build a wall, border or something.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why we have a little negative impression
Yeah.
about immigrants,
Sure.
especially from Mexico.
Right. Yeah, and I think that was to prevent that illegal immigration, the idea that people can just walk into America. And yeah, that definitely did not help to make Americans think better of immigrants. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of in spreading a little, negative impression.
Right, exactly.
And also, in Japan too, perhaps that might be the reason. Like illegal immigrants might increase if we officially accept immigrants.
I think that often in America and maybe in Japan as well, if there is some crime committed by an immigrant, it is seen as like a representation of all immigrants. Like if some immigrant commits a crime, then it's like, oh, immigrants are bad because this one committed a crime. And yeah, I think that's, for America's case, I think that's a bad way of thinking because of course immigrants are not all the same, right? Yeah. And yeah.
And especially in Japan, like rural areas.
Yeah.
おじいちゃんおばあちゃん
Right.
Sometimes even now they don't really like foreigners. And I heard that. I didn't know that because I live in Osaka.
Yeah.
But my friend said my grandma and grandpa don't really like foreigners, and then they have a kind of discriminative ideas.
Yeah.
And then I was so surprised.
Yeah.
So yeah, from that reason, perhaps that's true. What you said was true. Like they don't want to, change the culture but I feel like they have a kind of wrong stereotype that foreigners commit more crimes or something.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong ideas.
Yeah. I think people do have that idea. And I don't know whether it's true or not. But yeah, it is probably one of the reasons why people are less willing to accept immigrants.
In Japan?
In everywhere.
it?
In everywhere.
Oh.
America, Japan, doesn't matter. I think people still have those same feelings.
ちょっと訳しましょうかね。一旦
Yeah.
ここまでね。But what do you think っていうのはそこに、後で聞いていこうと思うんですけど、そう、なんかここまで、だいぶ長くなりましたけれども、なんか、どこから会話が始まったんだっけ？イミグランツが、そうそう。だからアメリカでは、こう、移民を多く受け入れているのに対して、日本ってやっぱりパーセンテージがすごい少ないのもありますよね。アメリカ 15% って言ってましたからね。
Yeah.
で、日本ってやっぱりその移民を受け入れる。なのでやっぱこの移民を受け入れるっていうこの言葉自体もなんか収録しててもすごい違和感というか難しいなと思うんですよね。その定義をつけるのが。なので例えばライリーがさっき言ってくれていたライリー自身を移民というならば、移民を受け入れてる形になると思うんですよね。つまりやっぱり僕たちが無意識の中で持っているその移民っていうイメージは無意識の中にやっぱこうネガティブなものとして刷り込まれてる印象は強いと思うんですよね。なのでライリーとかこう海外からなんだろうな、こうやって住みに来てる外国人を移民となんか思わない無意識にも感じてしまう自分だったり僕たちっていうこの感覚が人によってはちょっとね捉え方が違ったりする部分もあるんでしょうけど、一応ここの定義としては外国から来てる人を、ライリーは移民って言っていることでしたけれども、多分僕たちが思ってるのは refugees どちらかというと難民とか、いろいろとこう母国で問題を抱えて日本にこう逃げてきたいみたいな趣旨で来てる人、それをやっぱりこう移民と思ってるイメージが強いと思うんですよね。でそこに話をフォーカスを当てるならばアメリカはやっぱりそういう移民メキシコだったりとかお金がなくて来てたりとか、そういう人を受け入れているパーセンテージがやっぱ高いと。で日本ではやっぱりそこは少ないですよね。ほとんどもうないですよね。でだからこそやっぱり起こりうる問題としてはアメリカでは犯罪率がこう上がる、それもなんだろうな、こう事実なのよね。Is that really true? Like crime rates are going up in the States because of the immigrants.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
でも、記事は読んだことがあるんよね。なんかそのアメリカでそれでやっぱりこう上がってしまうこともあったり、治安がやっぱ悪くなる、秩序がこう整わなくなるっていう、だからこそ移民を受け入れるか受け入れないかっていうのはどこの国でも問題としてあるのかなと。で日本に関してライリーが言ってくれてたのは日本でね90何%がもうほぼ日本人っていう感じでこう文化がねもう1個しかないと。でもライリーとかの家系の場合おじいちゃんにイタリア人がいたりとかもともとその移民とか置いておいた上でいろんな人がこういる社会なのでまだこう受け入れやすい。でもそこに不法移民とかっていうね問題が違法移民っていう問題が出てくるのでアメリカでも問題ではあるんですけど日本でのその問題としては文化がやっぱ乱れちゃうからあんまり受け入れたがらないのかなっていう説明がライリーから僕にされて、僕が思うのはなんかこう文化が変わるっていうところにそこまで僕たちはそんなになんか意見はない気はするんですよね。でもやっぱり外国人が来るとなんかこう秩序が乱れるって思っちゃってる人はいるのはやっぱり事実で、僕の友達がうちのおじいちゃんおばあちゃんはまだその外国人がこう道に歩いてたりするともうそれだけでちょっとこう嫌だって思ったりもするっていうのも聞いて、上の世代の人ってまだそういう、戦争のね名残もちょっとあるかもしれないですけど そういう人もいるんだっていう。つまり、まあ僕が言いたいことは、こう日本がそんなに移民を受け入れないのは、文化が乱れるとかっていうよりも、なんか秩序が乱れたりとか、やっぱいろんな人がね、入ってくることによって、いろんなやっぱリスク、仕事がやっぱなくなったり、日本人の仕事がなくなったりとか、まあ、そういうところプラスアルファ、秩序が乱れるっていうところで、受け入れてないのかもしれないねっていう。でも、なんだろうな、みんながみんなそのね、犯罪を犯すっていうわけでもないですし、っていう、そういう偏見はやっぱアメリカでもこうある。だからこそ問題になってるっていうことなんですけど、じゃあ、どう思いますか？ So, discussing these things,
Yeah.
do you agree or disagree with accepting immigrants?
Yeah, I think well, I think in America's case that we should accept immigrants. But I also think that of course we should try to have as much immigration be legal as possible. I think that yeah, legal immigration is good. Illegal immigration is not so good. But at the same time, I feel like those people who are coming to America illegally should have an opportunity to do it the correct way. They should try to do it the correct way.
But
Yeah.
why they do that?
I think it's
I mean, illegal.
yeah.
immigration.
I think basically it's easier to do it that way. They don't have to wait. It's at least faster to do it that way than maybe having to wait. Yeah, I don't know. But
Then in that case, maybe something we have to discuss is not like immigrants, kind of bigger thing,
yeah.
kind of refugees.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the exact definition of a refugee is. I know refugees are often people who are escaping from war or maybe a natural disaster or something. But in that case, I'm not sure if people who are coming to America from Mexico, for example, are refugees. Because Mexico does not have war exactly. There are some places where there's a lot of crime. But I don't know if that counts as a refugee or not. I don't know exactly.
So maybe now I got that, the problems we are facing would be different in the States and in Japan.
Yeah, I think
And maybe, in the States, you guys are already accepting immigrants. So, but in Japan, we don't accept actively like America. So
Yeah.
maybe my point is we should be more, open
Yeah.
about accepting those people who are in trouble, like refugees.
Okay, like refugees.
Yeah, because in
Yeah.
Japan, we categorize only one group, like immigrants, and then we don't accept that much. Then, those refugees who are in a bad situation
Yeah.
cannot have a chance to escape.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a problem
Yeah.
in Japan.
Yeah.
But in the States, you guys are already accepting, so
Yeah, I think so.
different.
Yeah. I think that for those people who are trying to escape from their countries, I think other countries like Germany and Canada accept a lot of refugees.
Germany.
Like, I think they accept about 40% of the people that apply. So people from some country who wants to live in Germany as a refugee, they accept 40% of those applications. I think in Japan, that number is much less than 1%.
And I heard that, the criteria of, considering them as refugees would be, more difficult or more, higher than other countries' criteria.
Okay.
I heard
Yeah.
in Japan.
Well, that's probably, that makes sense. If the number is so low, then the criteria must be very strict. Yeah.
そう、strict と言うべきだったな。そう。なんか今本当に難しい問題なので、どこに焦点を当てたらいいんだろうっていう、このやっぱ移民っていう定義がでかすぎて、なんかそれぞれが思っている定義が違うんだろうなと思ったんですよね。ライリーが思っている移民っていうのと、僕が思っている移民っていうのと、皆さんが思っている移民っていう。で、だからこそ問題も違うと思うんですよね。で、アメリカの場合ってもうすでに移民を受け入れているので、なんかこう、受け入れてることによって起こってる問題をどう解決していくのかっていう、そこがなんか問題な気がしたんですよね。でも、日本の場合って、まだ受け入れてもないので、その、日本が抱えてる問題っていうのは、受け入れる、受け入れない。つまり、移民っていうカテゴリーの中に、refugee っていう、それもスペリングしておいてもらいましょうかね。こう、日本語で言う難民。結構ね、難民を移民だと思っているしまいがちだと思うんですよ、僕たちって。で、難民の人ってなんだろうな、こう本当に困ってる人、こう自然災害だったりとか、あるいは戦争とか迫害から逃げないといけない、そういう人たちを受け入れるっていう体制が日本では整ってないっていう、ここに関してはすごい大きな問題な気もするんですよね。困ってる人たちをやっぱ助けられないっていう意味で。その一方でやっぱ僕もドイツとかはすごい受け入れてるっていうのを聞いて、でもだからこそ、貧困の格差ができてしまったりとか問題もまたあると思うんですけど、なんかアメリカが抱える問題と日本が抱える問題ってなんかちょっと違う気がしたんですけど、So in the States, what is the problem of accepting immigrants?
Yeah, I think the main problem in the States is illegal immigration. People who are coming into America without announcing that they're coming into America. So I think people are concerned that they don't pay taxes and they don't, maybe if they commit a crime or something, it's difficult to know who they are because there's no record officially. So that's a big problem in America. And also I think in America it's the number of immigrants. Many people want to come to America. And we accept a lot. Like I said, 15% or something of Americans were not born in America, but I think even more than that want to come from mostly Latin America, but also, other countries.
If they were not illegal immigrants, do you think for example, crime rates or something bad would be less?
Maybe. I think maybe. I think, it's difficult because I don't know if America can accept all of the people that want to come to America. Because that might be millions and millions of people. But I think they should make a simple process for how to become an immigrant so that people don't feel like they need to come in illegally.
And then, they should set the number so that, those crimes, become less.
I don't know. I don't know. Setting a number is difficult. How do you, I don't know how you determine the number.
I mean the maximum number
in
a year.
Yeah.
難しいな。
Right. It's difficult. I don't know. Maybe I think there should probably be some criteria for the kind of person that, well, not the kind of person, I don't know, for who can come in, whether it like is based on the work they can do, like what kind of jobs they can do, or if I think there is criteria for if you have family already in America, it's easier to come in. And but I think they should try to make that as simple as possible so people can come in without worrying about waiting for a long time.
なるほど。クライテリアをね、最後言っておいてもらいましょうかね。基準とかっていう意味ですけれども、何か今回これでは絶対伝えたいメッセージはこれみたいな何か結論が出るわけではないんですけど、ちょっとこの会話の流れからアメリカではどういうイミグラント問題があったりするんだろうとか、あるいは定義のイメージ作りだったりとか、そこの何かお役に立ててると嬉しいなと思うんですけど、まとめるとやっぱり抱えてる問題が なんか違う気が僕的にはしたんですよね。アメリカの場合はやっぱり移民をたくさん受け入れてる。だからこそ起こってしまっている不法移民、違法移民、不法移民、どっちだったかな、ちょっと言葉間違えてたらすいません。その人たちの数をやっぱ減らすっていうところをクリアしないといけないんでしょうね。で、日本の場合はもうちょっとその難民の人とか困ってる人たちをもっと受け入れられる体制を整えても個人的にはいいんじゃないかなとも思うんですよね。でも次受け入れるとアメリカみたいに不法のねそういう移民が増えるんじゃないかっていうそれを心配してる人たちもいるでしょうね。でどんどんやっぱ秩序が乱れてくるっていうだから難しいですよね。その基準日本はでも基準がすごい厳しいらしいんですよね。その難民指定されるまでの基準がすごい難しいからこそ難民として受け入れてもらえない人たちも多いみたいなんですけど、もうちょっと日本はそこを緩めてね、助けれる人たちを増やしつつどうその秩序が乱れない程度にバランスを取っていくのか。で、アメリカの場合はね、そのどう不法移民を減らしていくのかっていうそこが問題なのかな。What is the problem? Because people often say immigrant issue or something. I'm
Yeah.
still wondering. 何が問題なんやろな。
That is really the question, huh? What
No.
is the problem?
何が問題なんやろ。
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's many problems, maybe. But yeah, it's difficult to say what is the problem.
When you were living, like you felt it was a problem?
No, I didn't actually. And I actually used to work on a farm some summers, and many of the other people who worked there were from Mexico, and some of them were illegal immigrants, meaning that they did not have a visa or something like that. But they had jobs. They worked on a farm, and they, didn't break any laws. They were good people. And so it's difficult because those people wanted to come to America, and they felt that it was too difficult to come the correct way. So they had to kind of sneak into the country illegally. But once they came to America, they worked and had a family and things, and then at that point some of them wanted to apply for a visa, but they were worried that if they went to the government office and said, "Hi, I'm living in blah 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 place, can I become a permanent resident or something like that?" And they were worried that if they did that, then they would say, "No, actually, you have to go back to Mexico." So it's a difficult situation for those kind of people.
Yeah, because in American dramas too, or movies, there are those scenes a lot.
Yeah.
Like they're always, threatened, and they might have to go back. So,
Right.
Kind of vicious circle.
Yeah, they can't follow the law because if they do, maybe they will have to go home.
That's why you said the problem is that, to make it more simple.
Right.
なるほどね。そういうことね。まあ最後のその締めくくりとして、ライちゃんの経験談として、ファームで働いていた時に言ったら不法移民のメキシコから来た家族だったと。でもすごくいい人たちだったし、スニークっていうのはこう打っといてもらいましょうかね。こう忍び込むみたいな、こっそり入るっていうような意味ですね。スニークしないといけない状況だったと。なぜかというとやっぱりそのアプリケーションの手続きが複雑だったりとか、待たないといけなかったりとかで、だからこそさっきライちゃんが言ってたのは、不法移民者を減らすためにもっと手続きを簡単にしないといけないっていう問題点があるっていう、そこが僕がさっき言ってた日本とは問題点が違うんだろうなと思ったところですよね。でやっぱり彼らも今になってビザを登録しようと思ってね、そういう場所に行こうとしてももう戻れって言われるかもしれないし、手続きがちゃんとこう簡単に踏めるような状況じゃなかったからこそ不法移民をしないといけなかった人たちもいるっていう。まあだからこそそのトランプ大統領がねこう壁を作るみたいな、なんかイメージでさ、やっぱ世界にさ移民の人たちの状況っていうルフされちゃってるからさ、 あれでなんか変なイメージがついてるところもあると思うんですけど、みんながみんなやっぱそうじゃないので、日本が今できることとしては適切な形でもうちょっと受け入れてみてもいいのかなと僕はね。で、不法移民者が出ないような形で増やしていく。で、もっとなんか多様性がね、やっぱ日本には必要だと思うんですよね。そういう意味ではなんかこう人を助ける意味でも難民の人とかね、もうちょっと受け入れてもいいんじゃないかなっていうのが、僕は思ったことですけれども、今日のエピソードは皆さんいか
がでしたでしょうか。
はい。アメリカに住んでいたアメリカ人のライちゃんですら、そもそも移民問題って何が問題なんだろうって感じちゃうぐらい、何が問題なんだろうねっていう、アメリカ人でもそういう風に感じてるくらい、すごいいろんな問題があったり、そもそも問題なのかどうかもわからなかったりする一面もあるのかなと話を聞いてて思いました。ただ、日本がね、だからといって移民を受け入れるのか受け入れないのかっていうのは簡単に決められないことですし、ちょっと皆さんのね、いろんなコメントの視点からまた勉強もさせていただけたらなと思うので、ぜひ台本なし英会話レッスン、インスタグラムだったりとか、ツイッター、ハッシュタグ台本なし英会話レッスンをつけていただいて、コメントをしていただければなと思います。でも一つ僕がすごく今日学んだことは、なんか移民問題っていう名前がついてるからこそ、移民イコールなんかネガティブなイメージがすごいついちゃってたんですけど、アメリカでもだから移民の人イコールすごいもうネガティブなカテゴリーにされちゃってるのかなと思ってたんですけど、今日聞いたらそうではなくて、法律的になんかそういう不法移民しないといけない人たちがいるがゆえに、なんかこうネガティブになってるっていう、なんかそこがすごく視野が僕は広がったかなと思いました。So something I learned, the biggest one is that, when I heard immigrants, I feel it sounded kind of negative.
Right.
But now, I heard from you that even for Americans, you guys have friends like who are illegally immigrated. And then the problem is the, complicated process.
Right.
So that's what I learned.
Yeah. It's maybe a problem that the way that in America too, with Trump saying build the wall and things, and with the 移民問題, that the way that we see immigration talked about on TV, for example, makes it always seem like a bad thing, but it's not always. It's usually a good thing, I think, and sometimes there are problems.
Labor, like a working force.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, I think maybe not a good thing, but usually it's neutral. I mean, most people who come to live in a foreign country just want to live a normal life, right? So that's not bad.
確かに、
Yeah.
そこはなんか視野が広がりました。ライちゃんも今言ってましたけど、移民問題とか、あれはトランプ大統領がね、壁をみたいなの言ってたからこそ、なんかちょっと移民イコール悪いイメージがね、つきがちだったり、あるいは日本でも結構移民反対っていう人も多いから、上の世代の方とかね、特に外国人がちょっと嫌だとかっていう人もまだ古い考えの人はね、いたりするからさ、なんか悪いイメージを持ちがちでしたけど、ライちゃんが言うニュートラルだと、移民イコール違う国からね、アメリカに住みたいっていう人たちがただいるだけっていう、みんながみんな悪い人じゃないっていう、だからこそネガティブなイメージがつけられすぎっていう、その考えがなんか僕的にはすごい視野が広がったなと思ったので、だからといってじゃあ日本でそれを受け入れていいのかってなるとまたね別の問題になるとは思うんですけど、そこは皆さんのディスカッションのネタにねさせていただいて、いろいろとまた考えていただければなと思います。では今回のエピソードも結構シリアスで長くなりましたが何か結論が出たわけじゃないですけど、何か学んでいただけてると嬉しいなと思います。僕は喋りすぎてむせたわI spoke a lot.
Yeah.
僕は英語のソータという名前で、インスタグラム、ツイッター、YouTube やっております。ライちゃんはライリー・ホインっていう感じで調べてもらえれば、
Reilly Sullivan XD。
はい。で、調べていただければ出てきますので、ぜひフォローしてみてください。では、
バイ。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
次回のエピソードでお会いしましょう。
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.